Hi, this is GI Squared, aka Gigi, Grand Infinite God's Intuition. I'm all spiritual, I'm all love, light, as well as righteousness. It's been a while since I posted one of my videos on TikTok or YouTube channel, simply because of what I've been going through spiritually and the information and the downloads that I've been receiving. Some of them have been extremely painful. It took a lot of guys for me to um, come to record this recording and maybe gather my strength to put it out there, in a sense that it could help somebody out there, and in a sense that it could probably reunite me with my long lost family. Right? And part of it, it's gonna be really about me. It's gonna be about the things that I've been through, and after that a series of other videos will follow, but my videos will only be based on love, light, as well as righteousness, and making sense of our universe, as well as trying to help others that are trapped, just the way that I was trapped. There's been a lot of things happening spiritually that our forefathers, our grandfathers, or the people that were supposed to inform us on that information didn't even bother. Maybe due to things advancing so quickly, civilization taking over, the new era of, everybody's a celebrity, in a sense that you can just record yourself on the phone and put it out there for everybody to, take a peek at. And without much further ado, let me just tell you that I am who I am, and I've been through what I've been through. I've learned to grow through what I've been through and make sense of it, as painful as it was. Okay, it all started when I was a baby. I witnessed one of the most horrific things happening to my family. I couldn't make sense of this up until, 6 months ago, and simply because most of it I forgot it, but I kept getting the flashbacks, which bothered me quite a lot. Plus the fact that the family that I grew up under, I never really felt like I belonged up until I decided to put a lot of kilometers between me and them. As I speak, I'm somewhere out there, secluded, living alone with my son. However, my daughter and my son are still in Joburg with the. I'm not really sure if they still live with the other family, but I hope not. Okay, and like I said, I witnessed one of the most horrific things that a child can, witness, or a toddler at that time, because this dates far back when I was still a toddler. Okay, I witnessed my family's house being burned down, my family being robbed of their wealth as well as their spiritual gift, and I was taken away by this family that defeated them as collateral. I'm only able to put the pieces together like 6 months ago through the premonitions that I've been having, the downloads that I've been having, as well as the dreams, some of them nightmares, of, seeing people burn and seeing houses burning and screaming, a lot of crying in the process, of which I prayed hard about it to get to where I'm currently at. All right, and some of the information that I've been piecing together growing up from the things that the family was that raised me was mentioning, which gave me an idea to say that I'm not related by blood with these people. Hence, I decided to put a lot of distance between me and them so that I could heal. My healing was very important for me, So, like I said, I witnessed screamings from my mom, crying my name, screaming, and some of the other family members, crying. And now that I'm psychic, I'm clairvoyant, I'm claircognizant, I'm clairsentient, clairaudient, as well as clairgustant, I've been able to piece it together with a lot of meditation in it, as well as a lot of prayer, a lot of isolation, just so that I could make sense of what I was going through. All this has gotten me into a very, very um, to live a turbulent life, a difficult life, whereby I used to drink a lot, I smoked a lot of weed, cigarettes, and today I'll tell you that I don't smoke cigarettes. I no longer smoke weed because I've realized how spiritual it is. and I no longer mess with alcohol anymore. I'm totally of sober habits. Okay, now this with the help of the Almighty, the Most High, Beneficent, Benevolent, the Merciful, as well as my spirit guides, my Holy Spirits, my divine messengers, the Spirit of Yeshua Mashiach, as well as the universe talking to me in numbers and symbols, I managed to piece this together. And I remember now vividly some of the things that happened to my family. Here's what happened according to my recollection and according to what those sources have showed me. You see, I come from a powerful lineage, a powerful family dating back, ancient times, the times of Kemet, before it was even called Egypt. Now, my family was given or endowed with this gift of ancient knowledge, spiritual practices, which most of it revolved around love, light, as well as righteousness. Okay, and I know this because I have that information inside of me. There's no way I could have picked it from strangers. It has to be from my bloodline. Okay, and according to the Most High, yes, it's from my bloodline. It took me a while to gather the courage to, release this, but through the guidance of the Most High, as well as my ancestors, decided no, this has to be known. My enemies has to know that now I'm powerful. Now I'm able to tap into my Akashic records, as well as tap into what happened to me when I was a baby. Okay, what happened to my family. So this, will come as a shock to most, but it shouldn't, because most of my life I've witnessed people look at me differently, trying to harvest my energy. I draw people towards me very easily. So, with that said, yes, I witnessed horrifically my family being destroyed by the other family through spiritual practices as well as physical violence, whereby our house ended up being burnt down and robbed, and me left in the hands of strangers who took me as collateral. I could vividly hear my mom screaming my name, crying for me, but there was nothing she could do, because I was collateral. I was a casualty of war, in other words. You know what I mean? So this happened when my family, spiritual family, made a pact or an agreement with the other family who was spiritual, but they were more like dark spiritual practice. They practiced more like dark spiritual practices, whilst my family was more like the white witches, those that preach love, kindness, light, as well as righteousness. Okay, now what happened was that these two families came up to make an agreement to say they're working on something big together that was going to change the spiritual revolution back then. Meanwhile, my family, took everybody as being good, because they usually good people if they were entrusted with that information by the Most High God. So they thought the other family was also um, a good family. They were honorable, and honesty and integrity prevails among them. But little did they know that the other families wanted to take over them, wanted to take their spiritual practices, their hidden information, and destroy them by any means necessary, unalive them if that's allowed to say. Oh, yeah. So that's what happened. What happened is that this other family that had an agreement with my family placed a mole inside my family, a spy, somebody that was there to spy as to what my family did, how they did their spiritual practices, and where they kept their manuals and everything that they did, that how they tapped into that ancient information and whatnot, to a point where come the day where all this took place, my family had a hunch, as well as the intuition told them to say something bad was going to happen. But because my family knew that I had gifts as a baby, I, they had to hide me. So I was hidden in plain sight, where if they lost that fight, somebody would just pick me up and raise me as their own, and eventually I'll grow up to find out who I really was. And little did they know that the people that um, destroyed them came to be my captors, they took me as collateral, and there was nothing that my parents could do. All I had was my mom screaming as well as crying, while the other family members are pulling her together trying to flee the scene. I'm not really sure if they're still alive, if they're still out there, and if they're still out there, if they recollect what really happened, I would like to be in touch with them, be reunited with them. But if not, I'm a grown man, I have kids on my own, it'll still be okay. I'm still doing what the Most High God has entrusted me to do, which is give me the downloads as well as to help other people that might be going through struggles, might have faced trials, tribulations, strives, and all of that things of that nature. You know what I mean? So, yeah, let's go back to these families fighting together. Yes, my family was destroyed. They were robbed of their spiritual gifts as well as their wealth, and I was taken as collateral. But my captures, those that took me as a casualty of war, because I was a toddler, nobody would like to murder a toddler. So, and they realized that I was hidden for a purpose. Maybe I had gifts, and when they found me, they realized that I had gifts, you know. And through that spiritual warfare, I was taken with the other family because my family was defeated. I was collateral, so they had to raise me as one of their own. And I've led a difficult life. I don't trust easily, even the people that are close to me, because that family taught me not to trust anybody, in a sense that how they treated me and what they did behind my back. Most of it, I played dumb. Most of the time, I played dumb, in a sense that you don't want to show your enemy what you know about them. So the best is to play like you don't really know nothing. You know, that's how I played the whole time. I played like I knew nothing, you know. Even my spiritual gifts that I had, when they told me I didn't have, I didn't even argue with them. I just kept it to myself, and I've learned what I've learned in silence, and that's how I came to be up until the moment I had. So let me take you back to when I was a kid. So this other family realized that I had gifts. Now, what they did was they tried to indoctrinate me into their family as well as their ancestors, but their ancestors rejected it, as well as my lineage couldn't mix with their lineage. So what they ended up doing was they ended up trapping me, in a sense that they trap my spiritual gifts for everybody to access, including my energy, which is very, very, very potent, you know. And through this, the dark arts that they practiced through whatever means that they did, they made sure that they trapped that energy so that they could benefit from it, and everybody else that I met along the way could benefit from that energy, you know. So I grew up being this person. I attracted a lot of people, including the people that probably I wasn't even supposed to attract, simply because the energy doesn't lie. My energy attracted them towards me, and when they realized that I had nobody on my corner, when people will go out there and consult about you, want to see your past, present, as well as your future. When they did that and realized that I had nobody in my corner and my energy was trapped in toxic, ships, they took it for themselves. I can tell you that lots of people out there have benefited from my energy. Lots of people have built empires from my energy. Companies have built empires from my energy, of which me, the owner of that energy, I couldn't, because it was trapped. It was manipulated through dark arts, through masons and their ships, and how they control the waters, how they control the air, how they control the fires as well as the earth. You know what I mean? So in a nutshell, I grew up attracting a lot of people, and most people, when they came close to me and knew who I am and saw how kind I was, how good I was with other people, they felt like they could just own me. I was a thing to be owned. I was a possession to everybody that I met, including the relationships that I've been through in my life, girlfriends, you know, trying to play me, after that, when I dumped them, could see that these people, there was something that they were benefiting from me, through trapping my energy and all of that. I've had a turbulent life, if I tell you. But it's not a train smash, and I've learned to deal with it. I grew through it and I made sense of it. I counseled myself through prayer, faith in the Most High God, as well as the universe, and that healed me, as well as putting distance between me and these people healed me quite a lot. I was always able to see that people are actually harvesting my energy. But what bothered me the most was why would people that I call my family do this to me? Because at that time I didn't even have the knowledge to say these were not my people. And the level of jealousy that they had for me, they couldn't hide it. I saw all of it. The envy they had towards me when I achieved something. I was one of those kids who was always smart, who's always, doing things for themselves. And I'm telling you that if I wasn't serious about my education, or I didn't see the value in schooling, I would have dropped out of school at primary. Nobody was even going to give a damn, because they never really gave a damn as to what was happening to my schoolwork. They never paid my school fees. I paid my way myself. I've learned to hustle very early in life, so that I can have shoes to wear in winter, so that I can, pay my own school fund you know. And through all of this, as I grew up, I saw how unloyal, how disrespectful people were towards me, including girlfriends, partners, that I met along the way. But I couldn't understand exactly what was happening, because I was in slumber as far as my spirituality was concerned. But certain people can see people to say, this person must be having some special. All I know is everybody that I came across, their life became very easy. You know, I was like a muse. People that I found struggling, once I entered into their own life, things changed. Their luck started changing for them. They achieved nice things, goals, and most of them exploited my generosity. Some of them even wanted to own me as a thing, to say, they were entitled to access my energy. But there was nothing I could do, because I was an orphan, and I didn't even know that I was an orphan at that time. You know what I mean? So most of the time, I had this, flashbacks, in my mind. I had this thing of speaking things into existence. I didn't understand how that was possible. I saw people's problems. I could guide them to say, if you do this and this and that, this would happen. Me thinking that maybe I'm using my logic, I'm that smart. But it turns out I was psychic ever since I was born. I've been guiding people without even realizing that uh, I was guiding people, and that emotionally stressed me out to a point that I started drinking at an early age. In secondary school already, I could buy my own beers. You know, at that time, a bottle of beer was like 70 cents. In the 80s, yeah, late 80s, I started drinking. Then, right into high school, I drank. Right into tertiary, I drank. Right into my working life, I drank. And at some point, when I started working, I drank every day, to a point where, in my early 20s, um, the doctor told me if I didn't stop, I was gonna have more and more problem in my stomach. You know, in a sense that I had ulcers, I couldn't balance my gastric acids and all of those things. And eventually I quit alcohol for 10 years, but because I was also smoking weed, which helped me quite a lot, in a sense that the minute I started smoking weed, that's when my quietude happened. I paid more attention, and I had voices in my head. I saw things, and then I paid attention. Instead of getting scared, I confronted it, and I was like, I want to see what is really happening to me. That's when I started accessing my gifts. But then I used to tell some people, and they think that I was crazy, but I've learned to keep it to myself, because most of the things that I said that were going to happen happen, and people don't like people that say stuff and stuff happens. They look at you funny, like, hey, this one, they start to, sideline you, put it on the side, leave you behind and stuff. And as a growing man, you don't want to be secluded or excluded by others. You want to be part of the gang. It's cool like that. So I started keeping things myself, but I learned in the process. I was learning and taking heed of what I was going through you know up until I started drinking again 10 years 12 years later, when I was healed and everything. But even then, that didn't last long before I could leave alcohol again. But I drank, but that time I drank responsibly. I wasn't indulging much, because I was paying attention to what was happening to me, as to trying to find out who I was, spiritually, as a person, and everything that was happening to me and how people were treating me. I wanted to understand, why are people trying to take advantage of me all the time? Why are people trying to exploit me? Why do people invite me to their parties? Like, if I cannot attend your parties, they get angry, because I had this vibe going on where my energy was pulling everybody, and everybody also was like hooked to my energy. But I didn't even understand that. People, usually just gravitated towards me, and I started taking notice as to how people try to be in my space. Some of them tried to provoke me, and I kept calm. Some of them trying to make me angry. At times, I blew my steam off. At times, was in huge fights. People that know me from the past, they'll tell you I had a very troubled youth, in a sense that I fought a lot in my time. And for this, everything started making sense slowly, slowly, slowly. It started making sense after you know I met my partner, Moni, the mother of my kids. May her soul rest in peace. You know what I mean? She gave me two beautiful kids, and I have previous child with my high school sweetheart. I have three children, and the two is already grown up, and the one that I'm living with right now, when his mother passed on, he was like a toddler. He was like 2 years old. So I had to raise him by myself. The first 2 years of her mother passing on, it was the most difficult time of my life. However, my daughter then was like 16, 17, so she helped me quite a lot in raising my little man, and she helped me quite a lot when I was going through a dark period in my life, where I was, go to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and come Friday night, I'm gone. I'm dropping these kids with my so-called family, and then I'm going drinking. They'll see me Sunday night when I pick them up, and then we go home. Then the same routine, Monday to Friday. I look after them. Friday, for almost 2 years, it happened like that. Trying to find myself, going through, and I'm in the pain of losing my better half. And that was the most trying time of my life. Once again. So after she passed on, the one time I said to myself, and asked myself, what is it that I was doing? I have a little man that's depending on me, that I have responsibility to raise, as well as I have a young woman who needs my guidance. Otherwise, she might end up taking the wrong route. So right then and there, I had to come back to me. I started meditating more. I learned a whole new, different spiritual world through meditation. I started fasting. I started basking in the sun. I followed all the advice that I was getting. These days it's easy. YouTube is there. It teaches you a lot of stuff if you are conscious. So I started paying heed, paying attention to what was happening to me. And plus the fact that every prophet, every traditional healer, every psychic that I went to, uh, they couldn't help me. In fact, they wanted what I had, and I didn't even understand, as to who I was at that time. And then I started questioning who I was. Silently, I did my research. I discovered about energy. I discovered about magnetic fields, frequency, and how they interconnect with love and us human beings. and love being the highest form of energy that one can get. And during those practices and whatnot, meditating times, at times my spirit guidance, the Most High God, whispered this book called the Kybalion that I was told to check out. And when I check out that book, taught me about the universal laws, that I live universal laws every day, and then how is it that the universe operates. And I made sure that I read that book. I listened to the audio of that book so that I can learn as much as I could about the universal laws. And then as another world started opening, where when I was, learning about the universal laws, I've learned about the Akashic records and how to access them. My birth charts, of which my birth charts is even wrong, because I'm not even sure that the date of birth that I have is actually my actual date of birth. I might be older than my age that is on my birth certificate. So I've learned about Akashic records, astrology. I've learned about numerology, as to the universe is made up on numbers. It communicates in numbers. I've learned about other divinations like necromancy, hydromancy, crystallomancy. I've learned all sorts of spiritual practices, dark as well as light. Because as far as I'm concerned, I was cloaked in the dark in God's light, hidden in plain sight. My enemies didn't even think that I knew the stuff that I knew. They just saw me as naive, somebody whom they can just harvest energy from and benefit from, and that's all I was good for. But in the process, I've learned to protect that energy. I've learned to, work money, transmute the energy that other people were giving me, other projections that were done onto me, other ships that were trapping me through masonry and everything. So I've learned quite a lot, you know. And then I started learning how people manipulate energy, and I've learned to transmute that energy manipulation, to protect my energy, because I started valuing and realizing how much my energy worth through experiences that I've been through from colleagues, friends, workplace, and everything. I'm one of those whereby I've started a new profession, and then within months I'm excelling. Like I've been in that profession for years, and most people don't like that. Even managers that I came across didn't like my smartness. I intimidated them in every way possible they could imagine. All this led to me where I'm currently at, knowing how people has been stealing from my energy. I know organizations made tons and tons of millions through my energy. Ever since then, I've been learning about my essence and how to claim my essence back and protect it. And believe you me, currently I know, from my past, scrambling. To people scrambling to access my energy, how secret dark covens and societies have been dismantled ever since I started taking my energy back, how people now behave all like I'm this bad person around because they cannot access my energy, how they try to gossip about me, how they try to belittle me in order for them to make me feel, small, so that they can access that energy. I've learned to protect myself from all of that, and I've also learned to reclaim all of that energy back from the four corners of the universe, from those that have benefited unfairly using underhanded methods to get my energy, including those that have bought it on black market. So this is how I learned and the information through, and I know all this information is part of my lineage because it's been given to me. I would know about stuff before I even read that stuff, and when I come across that whatever I knew and then I see that it exists in books, that used to astonish me, that used to surprise me, to say, had me asking myself, who are you? you know and then through all of that, man, I've learned quite a lot about me. And as time went on, this has taught me, you know, how I wanted people to see me. I now give people to see what I want them to see. I also have noticed how to improve and prosper and then myself, and I've noticed how other people's lives improve and prosper when I'm around. I know that I'm a muse, you know. And most of the time, I just play dumb and look at people as to how they're gonna behave once they start accumulating what they accumulate around me. And most of them get big-headed. Then I move and watch them crumble down, you know. Hence, most of them talk bad about me because they can no longer access my energy. Once I shut you out, I shut you out. And what I did to the family that tried to claim me as their muse as well as their captor as collateral is that what I did is added a lot of distance between me and them, and then I made sure that I burn every bridge that I have with them so that they can never ever be in contact. Even if they in contact with me, they can never ever access my energy field ever again. You know, everyone who benefited unfairly from my energy and everything, I have learned methods of reclaiming all of that back. And I'm not even sorry about this because of how people tried, to uh, get rid of me. Some of them even tried unaliving me. Just think that they probably take my essence for them and destiny swap with me, soul tie with me. All of those things, I've learned them, you know. So now I feel like now I'm ready to take my job, my power back, as well as do my job to educate some of the poor souls out there that have been manipulated for years and to how to protect themselves. Now, from now on, today the session, since it's been a year ever since I've released anything on TikTok or YouTube. Today I was just giving you everything in a nutshell as to what has been happening to me, and now that I'm aware, and if even my foes, my enemies out there, my frenemies out there, I'd like them to know that I know what they did to me, and I'd like them to know that no more. I know my power now. I'm ready. I'm equipped, and I know my magic. In other words, you know what I'm saying. I have information that I need to pass around, give to people, educate people, so that the Most High God as well can give me my break. Stop being take His foot off my neck, so that I can live a little as well. But I know who I am. I know my people might still be out there. I'm hoping they still remember what happened to them, and they can just get into contact with me by leaving me comments on my TikTok or YouTube channel, leaving me their numbers and telling me who they are. I'd be very honored to reunite with my family. I've been an orphan my whole life. I'm now 50, and I didn't even know that I'm an orphan. That's the sad part. Up until maybe last couple of years, and then through the years, I've been hearing how these people that I was with, when they are angry with me, they would, mistakenly say stuff that they wish they probably wouldn't have said. That gave me clues to say, who am I to these people? Am I really their blood? I've questioned quite a lot of stuff, being around those people, to a point that where even my daughter had one of them drunk saying them, yeah, your dad is not our brother and whatnot, but they ended up retracting that statement back, making it like, it's not true, but it is true. I'm sure if we could take a DNA test, me and those people, it'll show in our blood to say I carry different blood from what they carry, you know. And I'm hoping that uh, whatever they think of me, they will say stuff, bad stuff about me, and say, yeah, now we raised him up, now he's a man, he can stand on his own due to us, now he's talking bad about us. No, none of them raised me. I practically raised myself. Like I'm telling you, if I wanted to drop out of school, I would have done it in primary level. None of them was gonna give a damn. Okay? And though they still think they can access my energy, but I think that's an illusion to them. My guess is they're experiencing everybody that has benefited unfairly from my energy, that has stole my energy. is now sitting out there, maybe trying to piece this and this together because the illusion has been broken. You know, the Masons and the ships and the causing hardships on other people, on friendships, companionships, mediumships, warships, relationships. They can never affect me anymore. I know most of the secrets as well as to what the Masons do. When they tell you, they say, no, they study how ships on the ocean work around waters and whatnot. But if I tell you all of that is jargon that they use, it's actually part of witchcraft, black magic. If I tell you, maybe I'll be in trouble from them, but I'm not afraid of them. I defeated every one of them. You know, everyone that tried to mess with my energy, I defeated them. And if they think I'm bluffing, I'm saying to them, bring it on. I'm ready for you all. I'm no longer the toddler that was crying while parents screaming, destroying my lineage. I'm grown up now, and now I got the Most High God by my side. He's granted me His favor, and He communicates with me through my guides, through my spirituality. So I'm not afraid, you know. And I usually tell people that, you know, when you pray, God answers you immediately. Your task is to find those answers, but you can only find those answers through meditation. When you cut the noise out, most people will live in this lifetime as well as perish without knowing who they are because their lives are very noisy. You know, they indulge in stuff, you know, that they're not even supposed to be indulging in: drugs, alcohol, you know, sex, and all of those things. And all of those, they diminish your essence as far as spirituality goes. They diminish the Christ in you. Plus, lacking honesty and integrity as well damages your magnetic field, your frequency, because you're not operating from the point of love. And our basis as human beings, we were founded out of love. So our base is love. If you lack love inside your heart, you're already dead. You know, you have no feeling. Nothing can ever go nicely for you except for black magic. But things that are acquired through witchcraft don't really last. When the person perished, they perish with whatever they, you know, acquired through witchcraft. Those that have reptiles that bring them money and all of those, they end up swallowing the whole lineage, which is a crime to ancestors as well as to God. You know what I mean? So with that all says, I'm here to teach people how to love themselves, how to shine their light brighter, how to operate from the point of righteousness, you know, doing to others that they want them to do and to themselves. And I'm here to teach people how to work on their shadow, because your shadow is your part, is part of you. You can never leave your shadow anywhere else. Your shadow follows you everywhere you go. It's your yin and yang, your light and darkness. Every one of us has 50-50 light as well as darkness. All you need is balance and ensure that your lines shine brighter rather than your darkness. Because when your light shines brighter, you're good for the mankind, for the humankind. My teachings are all going to be based on love, touching different aspects of lives, but it will be tied to love. I will share some of my downloads, and some are not meant to be shared because that's between me and the Most High God, the Benevolent. And those that I want to those that want to personally get in touch with me, leave me comments in the comment section on my TikTok and in my YouTube. Subscribe if you want to subscribe, and at a later stage I will inform you all as to how you connect with me. Love and light and righteousness, all praises due to the Most High God, the Beneficent, the Benevolent, the Merciful. Ashe.